whatever milestones that Black people make against hate, it ends up benefiting all the other people of color. I can't see what his end game is. The Republican Party is the party of racism, is the party of white supremacy, is the party of hate. This is wrong, and it needs to stop.
Everybody wants to go back and drag that piece of history up, but they don't want to go back and deal with what their ancestors did to the indigenous people and to Black people in this country. You got to go. And you got billionaires talking about going to space, and Jeff Bezos, go, never come back. I hope you get lost. This man has lost his mind.
Boom! Come on, girlfriend. What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner, given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association, and also I am the winner of the Innovation Award given out at 2018 by that same organization. I host the only online conversation in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Care and co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization. Excuse me. And as always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. We're broadcasting live February 19th. Nowhere else you need to be, especially in, well, if you're watching in Toronto, it's cold. It was very cold today. Wind and the whole bit. And wow, I am tired, not tired, tired of winter. As we would say, we are really had enough. But you know what? We're happy you're here, whether it's live or on replay. We appreciate it and don't take it for granted. But, you know, it's not about me. If you know anything, it's about the two ladies we're bringing up on the platform right now, Aisha K and Jill DJ. I like that. Aisha K and Jill DJ.
Yes.
How we doing, ladies?
Great.
Good.
We're doing it.
You're right about the cold and the wind. Oh my gosh, the wind was horrible here Thursday night. I got up Friday morning. Everything on my balcony was just strewn all over the place.
I'm so envious a little bit. It's been chilly here. It's cold here too, but I kind of missed just one day. Like you guys
got a 30-degree difference. Like Thursday and yesterday it was like 57, 59, and then today it's like 27.
Oh wow. Yeah, it's been a little erratic here, up and down.
Yeah. How's the week been?
Lots of news.
Oh yeah.
A lot. But doesn't it just feel like the days are just flying by?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we're already in March, essentially. I don't know what that is, but I don't know. Isn't there a saying that in bad times God speeds up time or something? Like, isn't there like some kind of chatter about like that it'll get so bad that he'll just speed up the days? I mean, he or she. I don't know, but it seems really fast. Like we're rolling right into March.
Absolutely. You know? Absolutely. Want to say a big shout out. Some family watching live. Hello, William. Greetings. Of course, Jen Myers. Hello, Jen. Hello. And Christopher Lawrence from Toronto. The gentleman runs Frequency Event Promotions. Thank you so much. Jen is saying freezing cold and windy here in Cleveland. Cannot wait for spring. But how come you're not watching the All-Star game, Jen, outside of us? Well, are you going to watch the All-Star game tomorrow night? You gonna watch it? Just asking.
Did the hamster see his shadow?
You mean the
hamsters
the gopher?
Groundhog.
Groundhog. Yes.
Hamster, gopher, groundhog. We eventually got there.
I don't know, right? Did that happen already? Maybe it happens in the next...
When it happened a few weeks ago, they didn't see the shadow. So
Punxsutawney Phil or Tuxatawny.
Yeah, you're good. Well, at least you didn't say
Punxsutawney.
Punxsutawney Phil. At least you didn't say Punxsutawney Phil.
I didn't say Palm Springs Phil.
Yeah. You know what's so funny though is that people were like passing memes around that day, like with pictures of him, and they were saying, "I'm not a weather, I am not a weather
consultant."
Yeah, something like that.
I didn't see any
Finding
of
groundhog.
those. What day was that? Darn it.
It was
think it was
way back. It was a
February
few weeks
2nd.
ago.
Oh,
It was a few
February
weeks
2nd,
ago.
yeah.
It was a
Oh,
few weeks
wow.
ago. So you didn't see a shadow. So, but it just seems the last 30 days, at least in Toronto, the weather has just been like every other day. And again, you get those fluctuations because we're going to go up in temperature a few days and we're going to go back down again. So
Wow.
everything melts and then everything freezes.
It's
Yeah, it
crazy.
started snowing here today.
Yeah, I was gonna say, haven't had much snow, but you've had freezing temperatures.
Well, we've
Yeah.
had snow. We've
We've
had
got-
snow.
You did.
We got some snow, but I'll tell you, we've only had like 2 big snowstorms.
Mhm.
The
True.
rest are like flurries, and it's not really sticking.
Okay.
Like today it snowed, and I'm looking out the window, it stuck a little bit, but it was like less than even half an inch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had some snow last night, but like I was up this morning at 6:00 and went outside, went, ooh. But it was a little chilly. I'm just going, whoa.
And I feel kind of crazy for like it gets to like 40, and I'm like, oh no, it's like it's just too much, and
well,
I'm not
Jill,
used to it.
You're pampered.
Yes, I know. Even my plants are pampered. I'm like, oh my God, I got to get out and cover them. You know, I think one went into shock. They're all high maintenance. Everything I own is.
I went out yesterday in just a sweatshirt because it was like 59 degrees, and I was just
get out, really?
Yeah.
I will say that growing up in Ohio, I do recall there was that sort of transition between winter and spring, and it was not quite the right time to not have a little jacket on, but when you're a kid, you just love it.
Yeah.
And I still can like smell what it was like in the air and that chill in the morning. And then by the time you walk home from school, because I don't know if you guys saw this post on my story this week where it showed like when we went to school, like the snow was like above us and and it was like still a school day.
Yes.
And then like nowadays it's like not really much going on the ground, and it's like school's canceled. That was like so funny because I mean we walked to school, like we walked far to school.
We have to get 6 inches or more for the kids to be to
out
have school.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Otherwise, it's just a delay.
I think we had to have like 24 inches or more. We had to have over 24 in order for us to have school cancellations. But if a car could get down the road, they would take a rickety bus down it, no matter what. If something could get through, they would find a way. It was so weird,
Well, the weather
is that kid though that when it snowed and the school bus, like to get to my house, you had to go up a hill either direction.
Okay.
And so if I was on the school bus and it slid back a little because of the snow,
yes.
Can I get off the bus? I'm walking home.
Right. Yeah.
Wow. Well, actually, before we get into anything, it was interesting because there's I guess a guy I follow on YouTube. It's called Sea of Tranquility, and he does music and album reviews of all different various groups and things. And guess who he gave? He had was it top 5 or top 10 album rundown on Super Bowl? Guess who he did a top 10 album rundown of?
Prince?
Yes,
No,
and I'm going to be sending it to you. Quite interesting. We'll get to the Super Bowl a little bit later, but I didn't realize, Jill, 47 albums.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would say, yeah.
I think there was like 30.
Like both of you
when he passed away,
and then the rest
they've
the
done
other ones came up.
After,
I went, oh my goodness, 47. But I'm gonna send you the link of the review that he did.
He had some albums that were like, all ambient piano music. Then he had other things he did for other people. I mean, there's definitely a huge body of work for sure.
Yeah, and
so much more that we don't know.
Yeah, because I said Prince, his big thing with Warner Brothers is that he kept on releasing music, and he was mad at them because they weren't marketing it. And Warner Brothers was saying, you're putting out too much stuff. We don't have a chance to really market it fully. But he said, that's your job to market it.
Well, now we know what that is. When they market that fast, that's just singles. They don't do albums then. Then they don't even offer artists a whole deal to make a whole album. Yeah. So, Prince was way ahead of the game. But to be honest, that the labels need to go to the way of the freaking I don't know, like the past. They're just don't really
the
need them
cassette tape.
anymore.
The cassette tape.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
don't really need them. They're just sucking up a lot of air and taking up a lot of space just for the few artists that they do have, and
Yeah.
collecting a few write-offs by signing certain things that they can write off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think very much of any labels. I think they all pretty much suck. And most of their artists are really not interesting, in my opinion.
And we're missing that A&R aspect that labels used to do. Motown
too
was
cheap.
extremely good at it because they had a process, an internal process for every artist, and they really shaped the artist. They shaped their sound. They shaped their
Right.
look. And right now, labels are just sending people out looking any old kind of way. They behave any old kind of way. And so it's like what function are they serving aside from distributing the music? And that's only so they can get a cut.
Considering they're signing people that don't play instruments and really aren't very talented, they just mess around and put together things and aren't really anything really that to write home about. Like somebody was saying, how come they're putting all these old people on the Super Bowl? And I said, because your generation doesn't deserve it. What are we gonna do?
And
More trap music? I mean,
Okay,
really?
let's hold that off.
Okay.
Let's hold up. We're going to get to that before the end of the conversation. No problem. Let's get at it. Good evening, Cinema Canela. Good evening,
Hello.
Blue Rains. Interesting comment. Jen says, I miss album liner notes.
Totally.
Yeah. Album
Absolutely.
liner notes are how I've discovered Jill Jones.
Yeah, put the pieces together.
Marie's album liner notes. Yeah.
And it's let's get started because actually I had someone respond to one of our posts on YouTube, and he had nothing but high praise to say. He was saying, I was wondering who that lady was in Purple Rain. So we'll get to it before we leave. I'll find the comment.
Okay,
I thought it was really, really cool. So we'll get to it before we better get to our topics. People want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
So we'll get to it. So our first conversation piece tonight. Oh boy. Ex-officer Kim Potter sentenced to 2 years of his fatal shooting of Dante Wright. Who wants to start up on this one?
Aisha.
You know what? Here's the thing. The sentence recommendation was 6 to 8 years?
Yes.
And that, considering that she killed someone, was very lenient. For the judge to go and reduce it way below even the minimum recommendation was insulting. And the fact that the judge cried for her.
That part I found really interesting.
That part was really, really odd. And it's one of those things where it brings up so many issues. There's the anti-Blackness sentiment on the Asian side that came through there.
Absolutely.
But for her to show that kind of emotion in sympathy for the woman who did the killing, I think the part that got lost here, and I'm wondering, was the judge listening to the evidence? I made this point on Twitter today when someone was like, oh, I think it was an accident. I'm like, I think not, because she was not a newbie. She was training someone, which therefore they thought that she was an expert enough in her field to do the training. So she should know the difference between a gun and a taser. And they showed the taser. The taser was bright yellow. And the gun is black. She put them on. Nobody put them on her. She put them on when she left home. So she knew where they were. She knew what she went for. And even still, when you're holding a gun out and you're like yelling, taser, 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 it's in your purview. She realized that she wasn't looking at something yellow. And so there was no mistake. And I think that, even on Kim Potter's part, when she was like talking to the family and she's like, you said that I didn't look at you during the trial. I didn't feel like I was worthy of looking. Come on. That's bull. That is bull. And I was just so disturbed. And you know, his mother pointed out that about the white woman's tears, and the judge paying
Mm.
attention to Kim Potter's white woman's tears, but said mine weren't enough.
Right.
And that, like, that also brings up this other issue of, you know, parents of biracial children, white parents of biracial children, not getting the same kind of consideration because the way that people view their children, as, you know, people view them as black. And you know, when it comes to police brutality, it doesn't matter whether you're light or dark. If you have black blood in you, you're going to be subject to it at some point.
Right.
And I really hurt for his family because there is no kind of justice here. She's getting less than 2 years because she already served something like 58 days or whatever
Right.
in prison. So it's 2 years with time served.
Yeah. She'll
In
be out in about 7
18
months.
months, but right. And she might even, you know, the other part of it too is that her attorneys are still appealing. So for her to sit there and say, oh yeah, I have all this regret and all this remorse, then stop appealing.
Right. Yeah, they need to, you know, the only thing that would have excused her in my mind, not even excused her, was if we found out she had early onset dementia and couldn't remember guns and whatever. And after that, she shouldn't be on the force anymore. But it's not her first time. She killed before an innocent person who a family member had a family member in distress somewhere, and she came in and she killed him. So this woman's record, which they couldn't bring to court, I don't think that was admissible. You know, it's disgusting. It's Minneapolis. It's Minnesota. It's just the way the state is. It's amazing that that this is going on, and that I don't know what Keith Ellison is doing. To be honest, is he still the AG?
He is, and he was really upset with what this judge
Well,
did.
they don't take him
My thing is,
seriously. I mean, let's
get
just
rid
be
of the
honest.
judge.
The judges and the people don't take him seriously. He's just a figurehead. He's like an Obama that people don't take seriously. They don't take Keith seriously at all because they all conducting it the way they want to. They do not give a damn. Clearly, what he's doing hasn't been enough, is all I have to say. For Keith Ellison, what he's done and has not been enough. He should be more, you know, I know many people didn't like Rahm Emanuel, but he wasn't there for people to like him. You know, so if that's the kind of job you're looking for, people to like you as an AG, you shouldn't be in it. You're not there to make friends. You're there to look for problems. And every day you should be seeking perfection. So every day that means that no one should be on your good list. When you're seeking perfection, it's really hard for anybody to be there. But clearly Keith Ellison's lost his state. There's nothing he could do. He lost it because that Chinese woman who sentenced it, she's just represents everything that, you know, is the real one of the other agitating issues in our whole system. You know, let's not forget, we got an anti-Asian hate crime bill, but no, we don't have one for Black people. We don't even, isn't it still legal to lynch people? I mean, who the f does everybody think they are? I'm sorry. I really don't give a. And so, you know, that was her day. Retribution. What was she trying to get back for the girl that got killed in New York by the Black kid in New York in the hallway? Yeah. Was that what this was about? I mean, because there's no way in my mind to understand what these, you know, and let's talk about their passing strange, or how they're in the Asian community have a real struggle to want to be white. And they'll do everything in their power to act like they're white and get as close as they can to it. I know that's going to sound really, I'm saying it, but they do.
There was actually a story on
yeah, and I'm sick of it, to be honest. I'm really sick. What she did was disgusting. And frankly, I think when she started to cry, that was the problem, which made everything about this case, they need to do it all over again. It needs to be appealed. It needs to be tried again. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
She fucked it up and she messed up as a judge. As a judge, she created a chain here that is not acceptable, and they need to take it back to the courts.
You know, Elliot Stahl was on Joy Reid last night.
He was furious.
He made such a good point. What do I tell my kids? And I think that we have this in this community, in our community, unfortunately, to think about. We are still having to have these conversations with our kids about the treatment of Black people, because, like he said, it's the only way we can keep them safe. Because if they go out without it, they already have a target on their back.
Right.
And think about that. We have to have those conversations very early in life. And it was like, when he said that, I was thinking about it. I'm like, I don't ever remember the moment I had that conversation with my parents. I just knew that it was constantly reinforced.
Right.
And so it's not something that was a life-changing moment, because it was constantly reinforced throughout my growing up. And you know, when these cases come about and people aren't punished, or the sentences that can be given are really low, people get more time for having you know, a gram of crack on them than murdering someone.
Right.
You know, you think about it. A crack addict, someone with an addiction, is going to get more time than this woman got.
Yeah. I mean, it's absolutely, you know, heinous that it even got to this point, but I don't think that it should be acceptable. And I think that there has to be something in the legal system that we say, we don't accept this. We refuse this. I mean, if people can refuse to show up to Congress now with a subpoena, I think that the public can turn around and just say, we refuse to accept this. I think that everybody should ask for the removal of the judge. She clearly has her head up her behind. It's like with Gascon out here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I voted for him that second. And you know what? I want him out. He's not doing what he said he would. And actually, then I didn't understand that he was like lay down, roll over, and just such a bleeding heart. It's like, I am not into the rearing of timeouts and give the kid a break. And oh my God, I'm like, if you're an adult and at this point committing 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 crimes, you need to be done, gone, finished, out of this game. It's not cool. And or he can take them all home with his, because I heard a crazy story about him the other night, that after that kid had killed the Avant, Jacqueline Avant, do you know that Gascon was going to let him go after they arrested him at the other house in Hollywood? They were putting up a bail that was feasible for anybody to get him out. And that was when other serious politicians in Beverly Hills came in, overrode that, pushed forth, and no, they were going to let him out.
That's like what New York.
So that was the day that we all decided we want a petition and we want him recalled. I'm all for being progressive, but I'm not for being a total stupid person. So when this judge did what she did, time's up, honey, on you. You're done. You're out. You are incompetent. You should not be allowed to do that.
That's what bothers me about these judges being appointed for life terms. Because
she's not for life. I don't think so. Is she?
She is a district judge. So I think that
who was she? Because that's the only way she got that job. Okay. Oh, a Chinese girl in the middle of racist Minneapolis. I hate to say it. Even some of the Black folks that are there, they're all bought and paid for. They have to keep up, do what they do. And I bet her husband's white too. What you want to bet?
I'll tell you this. You see what like Eric Adams is doing in New York, what he's proposing to do in terms of policing to reduce crime. There's reducing crime, and then there's also allowing police to have so much authority that they unwield that authority on the most vulnerable in the population.
Right.
Remember, New York wasn't a very safe place, New York City, to begin with. It did improve, but one of the things that is challenging about New York City is that it's just a big place. There are 4 million people in the city. So you're going to have a high crime rate regardless compared to other places. There are 4 million people in my state compared to that one city. And how you handle it is, you can improve you can increase the number of officers and give them more tools to use in terms of reducing crime. But you already have this problem there with police officers and racial profiling, and you have to deal with both.
But first of all, we have to determine what's considered crime anymore.
Exactly.
Because the reality here is when gentrification comes in, all of a sudden, white collar crime isn't a crime anymore. But they all want to talk about crime when it's, a robbing, a mugging. Okay, that's legitimate. But then they also make the face of those crimes be only Black people. There's white people who rob people. There's people of all races. There's Chinese people who rob people in Manhattan. I've seen stuff. I lived there, but you don't see that being portrayed all the time. And what's so interesting to me as they gentrify these neighborhoods and the shock and horror when the stuff goes down, a crime is also being so corrupt that they don't enforce things that their new gentrified neighbors are pulling on each other. That's crime. There's still crime. It's called corruption. And they're doing all sorts of things. You've got to take it seriously, no matter at what level, because if there's an infraction, if landlords are gouging their neighbors, or if they're doing, you take it up, you deal with it. If there are people who, are just stiffing it to people in stores or whatever they're doing, they have a problem determining, now that half of the neighborhood is white, it's not so crime ridden anymore. Yes, it is. White collar crime has been existing and it's been growing, and all they're doing is not even smacking their hands. They're licking them. They're just like, rubbing themselves all over it, because all it turns into is like, what can I get out of it? It's turning into such a disgusting place where people have no backbone of any kind. None at all. Yeah. And I think everybody's, to actually wake up every day in this country and I sit here and go, what am I going to hear about today? What new breed of is being developed?
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing about this particular case. Let's go back to what it started with. He had too many air fresheners hanging from his rearview mirror.
Right.
Wow.
And he's dead. Okay. That is why they pulled him over. So they claim. So explain to me how, if too many air fresheners, which is just worth a ticket at most, went from not giving a ticket to pulling out a gun. To me, her screaming taser was just to cover herself.
Yeah.
She meant to shoot him, because the truth of the matter is that she was flexing in front of the new cop that she was training, trying to show that she's tough.
I just want to interrupt for a minute, kind of catch up on a few comments here. So William is saying, quote, "The unintentional is intentional," unquote. They sadly are trained. I hope the department evolves. Cinema is saying, hope she doesn't get her job back. That's the judge.
Will. Yeah.
Christy White, welcome back,
yeah.
Christy, saying it was
Hey.
horrible for his mama.
Horrible.
Real Django saying, I'm just sick of all this crap.
Well, here's the thing. There should have been in her sentencing that she could not have a job in law enforcement ever again.
Right.
There was nothing like
No.
that. And if, to my knowledge, I don't believe she was fired. She was placed on administrative leave.
Right. She's been collecting her salary. And to me, I hope that she literally, when she's writing that $1,000 check for the fine of taking this young kid's life, $1,000 is another thing. They fined her. That's all he was worth, $1,000. I've got a duvet that cost $1,000.
You know what? I recommend that his parents sue her in civil court.
There are billionaires who have forks that are $1,000.
Yep. I recommend that her parents.
This is the world we're living in right now. Let's take everything that's $1,000 and put it online and say, this is how much Dante's life was worth. $1,000. I hope when she's writing that check, but see, she won't even have to do that tactile wise because it'll just be deducted out of her checks that she's been getting. But the reality is $1,000. Everybody should just be wearing a t-shirt around that and be like going, $1,000, you bag of woman.
You know what? That's why I hope they go to civil court and sue her for wrongful death and just bankrupt
She's
her
already
for life.
had too much time to change her money and to move it around. Next thing you know, she'll have property in Florida too, where they all go. OJ, that other like who from Minneapolis who's serving his time, Derek,
Chauvin?
whatever. Yeah.
Chauvin?
And exactly what happened with him is he can't afford an attorney. So he's in there now, and I guess he's just sucking it up. Like, I'm just going to be in here. There's no more appeals coming for him. Not really.
So William is
and
saying,
he is.
I heard officials are hiring mental health patients to help with that area of crime. And then people should already be teaching their Black kids that there's a target on their backs in America.
It's already down the tubes. I don't know how far down it can go. We've gone past the toilet status. It's now in the tubes and the pipes. It's done. It's done.
Also, Real Daniel says it's the old quote, give the white person a break, but give the Black person nothing, unquote.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
The other thing too that happened this week was that the three men who murdered Ahmaud Arbery, those tapes came out, the taped phone calls, which now you look back and you're like, this should have been presented in
the case.
In their case. It's being presented in their federal case, right? And because and honestly, in the federal case, they should do like they did with Dylan Roof and go for the death penalty.
But I don't think they are.
And I don't think they are because for the hate crimes, that is one of the considerations when it comes to murder.
So William says that's saddening. Christy is saying our community definitely feels around this case it's similar to the Deborah Christian case in London, Ontario, or the Colton Bushy case out west in Canada. William says, I seriously wish I knew about this topic. I'm so glad I'm reading a lot of the Black BLM movement books and getting an understanding perspective. This is very educating. Let me just put here. I won't put Real Django is another interesting comment that I won't put up because of the wording. I think he's gone to the Jill Jones School of Commentary. I'll just leave it at that. Real Django, I want to know more about that air freshener BS up there. That's ridiculous.
I know.
And going, Real Django's, I'm boarding the Jill Jones Express train tonight.
Yeah, where can we go?
Right? It's Real Django's.
Can't
it's
go
hot
to the
down
moon.
here.
They junked it up too.
Yeah, it's hot down here, Aisha. Georgia's on fire in the Black community. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
I actually lived in Georgia for a year. In Atlanta.
There you go. So this case, not really a surprise, but this the judge, and I didn't. So the judge supersede. Now my question is, maybe you can tell me: did she supersede the verdict by the jury, or did she have like what? How was that game? Because there was a jury, and did she supersede their verdict?
No, the sentencing. There's a sentencing recommendation,
Okay,
which was 6 to 8 years for the charges that she was convicted on.
I'm aware of that.
But there's this thing where judges have leniency. They have this they can actually they have discretion to where they can issue a lesser sentence if they so choose. And that's the problem there. You know what I mean?
She thought so little.
Right. It's not being applied equally, the discretionary sentencing.
How would you think so little of her case? She didn't take the case seriously either, because even the gap from 0 to 6, why would you pick 2?
Right.
It like even if 5 maybe, but yeah. I don't know. That takes a lot of balls. Do you know how many balls that Chinese woman had to do that?
Yeah.
She said she wasn't somebody. Either she has hate in her heart for Black people, or she was getting retribution for what happened in New York. She had a personal issue with it. She was biased. And the reason she was biased, and it was personal, because she cried. And you don't cry about something unless it's done something to your veneer or to hit you somewhere. She was very unprofessional. And to be honest with you, she needs to be, that's, to me, done. She needs to go.
Did she also say that?
And all of her cases need to be reviewed.
Remember, judges are supposed to be impartial. So showing emotion like that
was
really just showed that, okay, this was tainted from the very beginning. That woman comes in there crying, and all of a sudden she felt the need to collar her.
And it was murder of a juvenile. That is another thing. Why was it even in that court?
What was he, 18?
Yeah, but still, it was like, to me.
Did she not also say that, at least he didn't have a knee put on his neck? Did she say something like that in her final? I thought I read that. I'm not going to say
I didn't hear about that part, but
I think that Miss Chu needs to be chewed out.
The fact that she was crying, visibly crying. You know what? Don't leave your quarters if you can't hold it together.
Global News had her on, and it was an embarrassment. People, even globally, there were reports in Italy and Germany and France. It was just like, yo, it was like they were on talk shows talking about the judge who cried for the woman who killed a child.
The judge who cried for a killer.
Making fun of our country yet again. It is the punchline in everything. You know?
Yeah.
Really?
So Christy is saying police officer here appealing guilty conviction of murder of Indigenous woman because she would have died anyway of a drug overdose this week. There is a lot of stuff going on. Christy also says it's sad that Black and Indigenous children are feeling their lives don't matter.
And they don't matter to white people. That's absolutely true. And you need to raise your kids to know your life doesn't matter to them. So be on guard. Don't make a lot of friends with them. It's not worth it. It's not worth risking your life going to the movies with them in these situations. It's not worth your kids playing with them anymore. It's not worth it. Why? So your kids can be exposed in a white world that is not going to accept them and possibly shoot them while they're hanging out with some white kids joyriding in a car, but then yours is the one that gets shot.
You know, Christy,
it's time to call it home. It's time to lock this down. It's time to stop the fraternizing like everything's okay. It isn't.
Christy's comment, there was a case like that here in Connecticut where a woman was killed by, I believe it was a police officer years ago, but she had been a drug addict, and they gave the same ruling that she would have died anyway.
Wow, William is saying here, I am so sorry for commenting and interrupting. You're not interrupting, and we want your comments. I can kind of relate to this for being stereotyped. Was wondering if you have any recommendations on books about wrongly convicted cases. I ordered Martin Lesra, almost had the chance of talking to the politician in case you'd like to read. Well, I don't know off the top any of my...
The Innocence Project has a website, and they go after wrongly convicted cases. So it's the Innocence Project. If you go to their website, they have articles and things on cases that they're working on cases that they won, and they've got other resources there.
Okay, thank you. Actually, what I'm going to do right now is just quickly put up their website address for you, William. And you can, and thank you, Aisha, for putting that up. So what we're going to do is I'll create a quick banner for that right now, and you'll be able to see it on the screen. I'll put it up here. So there you go, theinnocenceproject.org.
And there's also the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Yes,
that looks into these things as well.
SPLC. Yep. Absolutely. Let's see if there's any more comments before we move on to our next conversation piece. And the real Django says, yes, Dr. V, that judge brought up, quote, at least he didn't die with a knee on his neck.
Yeah. So wait, this was a more dignified death? Is that what you
really? When I heard that, I said, oh, really? You went there, Judge? You went there?
The only difference between what happened to George Floyd and what happened to Daunte Wright is that Daunte Wright died immediately from the gunshot. George Floyd died slower. That's the only difference. Everything else is the same and should have been treated the same.
And Chrissy's saying, and it's sad moms like us have to feel that this way, I think, instead of
absolutely.
And also,
because it's really true. White moms of children of color pay a heavy price too in that circle. It's almost like, white people hate them, like see them as traitors.
Well, not only that, it's their whiteness can't protect their children.
Yeah.
What did and I was away
they
from
stereotype them. They have, unless they show up and there's some musician or some actor who adopted some kids and they walk in with, but that's not real life. That's not real life in America. That's just image and reputation for these people.
Yeah.
What about white woman tears comment?
Oh, we talked about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We discussed that.
All right. We've covered it. Beautiful. Fantastic. So let's move on to our next conversation topic. And everyone who's watching live, keep the comments coming. You're on fire tonight. Great. And you know that Jill and Aisha just raise their bar when you bring the comments in real time. Next conversation piece. If you haven't heard of a lady named Letitia James, you better start following Letitia James. She is the assistant attorney general of New York State. And this week, she had quite the week. First of all, she is putting the squeeze play on the former president of the United States and his son, Don Jr., and his daughter. What's his daughter's name? Ivanka, because she is really after the 45 organization in regards to misrepresentation of properties. And she won a case. She won a case saying that, they may have to come to trial.
The judge said they had to.
They had to. Yes. The subpoena will stand.
Yeah, the subpoena will stand.
They tried to appeal, say that they weren't worth getting a subpoena, and that their argument was that Tish James was being racist, and so
political.
Political and racist, and the judge rejected that and was like, "No, you will comply." In 21 days.
And of course, they've appealed.
Which might stretch it longer than 21 days. However, she's got such a solid case against them that I don't see that appeal I don't see that appeal going anywhere.
Well, and then on the other hand, she's after also Mr. Cuomo, former governor of New York. And it isn't interesting. When she did a lot of research, found that he was the accusations of ladies of Mr. Cuomo sexual assaults were rule, and now Mr. Cuomo saying, "Oh, she's political, she's out, this, that, and the other thing." Letitia James, and we were talking about this before we went live, she's becoming a big star for the Democratic Party in the United States.
Yeah. Like I said before we went on the air, Andrew Cuomo asked her specifically to look into the charges against him. He can't be mad that when she did what he asked, the truth came out. I don't get. I think that on her end, it was like, okay, I'm going to, and you can see her saying this to him. I'm going to go and investigate it, but whatever the result is what the result is, and we're going to put it out there. So whether it's good for you, whether it's bad, whatever the truth is, it's going to come out. I'm sure she said that to him when she first decided to take it on. And I think his shock is just that, oh, she really did.
But I don't think she played it. But in my mind, taking out Cuomo for the stuff, I'm still going to stand by that. I thought it was, and I will continue to feel that way, because here's the problem. Trump's not going to show up in 21 days. Neither are his kids. They're going to take it as far as they can take it. But if we had a governor to support all of her activities, they'd have been picked up and taken in, because that's where that was. They removed that obstacle for them. And this other woman who's the governor, she's not the one either. She didn't have any balls. But Cuomo did have them. So I'm not going to, I don't think that the rest of us should bear the burden of these, women who suddenly remember that somebody abused them, 35 years later. I can't handle that. I just, no. And I think we all have paid the price for that, because I don't believe it. I've seen how women are in offices, and it's just a little too much for me. There are real serious women who have gone through some things, and HR does its damnedest to get rid of them quickly. The fact that these white women were allowed to hang around and continue on, if those were Black women in the profession being harassed, they wouldn't have been hired anywhere else in New York City at the same level. These other ones went from place to place to the other place, and another candidate, They always have a lifeline. Somebody always throws it to them, a raft or something. And that's what you get. I'm not going to stand on that fence on that anymore. I'm not. And I don't think, everybody's like, somebody asked me if I'm a very sexual person. It's the way I feel like, how about I don't ask you anything and say, are you on time? Did you check in? Did you punch in? I'm seeing and looking at your software. You're not working all damn day while you're sitting at that desk out in front. I mean, a boss could make assistant's life hell, and it would be totally appropriate to do so. And that's what I would turn into. Like, you're not typing enough for me through the day. You're yapping your mouth too much. And if you're that much of a shrinking violet and you live in New York City, I'm sorry, you're harassed on the street. I mean, give me a damn break.
I'm curious as to the evidence that
I'll never believe that.
I'm curious as to the evidence she uncovered. And the reason why is because I don't think that as a Black woman, she would have put her reputation. Especially when she was going to run for governor.
No, I don't think she would have been defending him. To defend him would have been, because it was not. That's not what I'm saying right now. Is not politically correct. Most women hate me for saying that I don't stand by you just because you're a woman and you said it. I'm like, give me more information, and let me decide. But see, she took the easy route. I still have a bone to pick with Tish about that, because I think that the stronger part would have been she was backed against a corner. I get it.
That's why I want to see the evidence that she had, because I don't think that she as a Black woman would stake her reputation on
She
a bunch
already did.
on it. I honestly
already did, in my opinion, when she shielded like the mammy 12 white women. You said this to me. She already did.
Well, that's why I want to see the evidence, because the truth is we don't know what evidence she really had. We
give me some meat.
We know on the
bones.
surface. We know the surface, but we don't know the other stuff that she had. For all we know, she had the opportunity to go back and look at his work.
Yeah, but the political move was she stepped out of the box and decided she attempted, she was going to run for governor. She showed her cards right then. So for me, the first strategy she had was, let me remove him. I think I might want to become governor. This will be perfect. That's what I'm seeing it as. Then it turned into, she aligned with Gavin Newsom on something. Then there was a new game in town that happened. Something changed. People got, and she pulled back and got straight about this case with Donald Trump. But I'm personally saying she showed her hand. She wanted him out as a governor, but he had her back no matter what. And for me, as a constituent or whatever, that should have been priority number one, not a bunch of women who were set up and hired, kids from Greenwich, Connecticut, where our Merrick Garland is from, given internships to work, and they're upset because somebody said something that they're not used to. I'm sorry. It wasn't enough for me to see the removal of that man as a thing to do. He didn't lay him down and rape him. Sorry if I think that one thing is worse than the other, but they all got jobs. They got references everywhere else they went. And also, why didn't they say anything before? They never did. Seriously, if it was really true, then wouldn't they have dug deep into people who would say, yeah, I knew that we had to get them rid of them? I'm sorry, that's not how HR works.
That's what I'm saying, is that I don't think that evidence has been made public.
I don't think it exists.
What I think, though, is that here's the thing. He knew, he had to have known, because politics is a very small bubble. Politics is a very small bubble.
All right, Jill, let Aisha finish.
Politics is a very small bubble. He knew, I'm sure he had to have known what her aspirations were beyond just being AG. But like I said again, he opened the door by asking her to investigate it. And she did. So he also was unprepared for what happens if there is evidence that will come up, because I don't think that he assumed that she would subpoena emails and text messages and things like that. One of the things that she did subpoena were text messages and work emails. So we don't know what was written in there. And
well, then for me,
think about it. What was the other guy, Anthony, the other guy from New York, who was incredibly sloppy behind closed doors? The only reason that it came out was because he decided to send a pic to someone, and it ended up being posted all over the place.
A pic, I don't care. This is the whole thing. Is that a problem? Why is everybody so fragile after what we just went through with that in the White House? Are you kidding me? Pick pales in comparison. I'd rather have received a pick every goddamn day that was in the office.
But you know,
than to have to deal with
there is work decorum, period. Because if I do that on my job,
they weren't at work. Fired. He was on a social network doing it.
Yeah, but if I do that on my job, if I do that, period, and it reflects bad on my organization, I'm being fired.
I don't know. This is just the way social media is. Ain't nobody running to put regulations on it. So it certainly isn't bothering anybody that much.
But when you sign a contract for a lot of jobs and a lot of things, they have an ethics clause.
Well, that's about to change, thanks to Gretchen Carlson. That's about to change, which just went down the other day because of Fox News. That will change. They're now going after the NDA clauses. They won't be able to have those anymore. But even still, that's the other thing. That is the other funny thing, because if Cuomo wanted to enforce his NDA clauses, why didn't he?
If he didn't want to be found out, why did he ask her to investigate?
But no, he had no
thing is
choice when that went down. He had no choice because they backed him into a corner about it too. It was like, damned if he did and he didn't. But to be honest with you, I never thought he should have left. Be like, the hell with those.
Now, that is something different. The pressure that was put on him to leave, truth be told, he didn't have to leave. That was something that was more pressure from the party.
Oh, no, they were all using the whole thing about everybody, typical stupid Democrats, which is why I'm not one anymore. But it's so interesting. They went on about the old folks' homes. People were told, this is a pandemic. Go get your relatives if you can. Basically, I'm sorry. Everything was I thought he did a pretty damn good job. But for those who sit and want to blame him for every damn thing that happened or hiding, they have done nothing. But the Democrats are stupid. It's what they did with what's-his-face, the comedian up in Minnesota, Al Franken. And that, after Cuomo got kicked out, was the day I became an independent. And that's what I am. Because I cannot deal with the back down. There are battles to fight, and we need to pick them. But Democrats want to pick them all. If you decide to say, you've got dirty toenails, we want to jump on that. Like, we go too far. They that was a bad analogy, but my whole thing is we fight all at once. And that's why we can't be as the Republicans are on that. I'm sorry, the Republicans lock that down. They stand by each other and they don't waver. Winds,
I will say
rain,
this about the senior citizens homes.
They're not wavering.
About the senior citizens homes, however, Cuomo wasn't the only.
No, he wasn't.
Ron DeSantis,
of course, but nobody cares.
He was huge with not releasing the information about
Republicans don't care, but Democrats cared.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was just wrong to me because now they put this impotent woman in there. And Democrats are so concerned with putting the face of something that looks like it's doing busy work. And it's just smoke and mirrors. It's like, damn, I like these people. They're nice. It's a woman. It's whatever. But don't yank my chain. Get something done and do it together. And if you guys have beef with each other, please do it behind closed doors and get the off Twitter for once. Because all they've done is definitely make the party look completely divided, and we don't have a pot to pick in most times.
Well, all right, let me catch up with some comments. Just let me catch up here. Real Django is saying Letitia James is on fire. 45 is going to run away to Russia or Saudi Arabia for help. He also said Anthony Weiner, that's LOL. Todd is saying Jill is cool with those certain type of pictures now.
Yes, I am, Todd. So go yourself.
All right, so we got that. That's the answer.
I think, but I'll say
this is war. This is war, and sometimes in war, you do a lot of things that you're not proud of. So suck it up and deal with it, Todd. Well, yeah, I gave up on y'all a long time ago. I'll say step off, Hickenlooper.
What I think about
talk to me about stuff.
No, but what I think about I totally forgot.
Okay, no problem. I'll let some more comments.
I totally forgot.
Todd saying both Cuomos needed to go. And he says it's hypocritical the way you do about 45, but let Cuomo get away with things.
Well, this is what I'll say about that. About
Boo-hoo.
Cuomo is that Cuomo, honestly, he should not have left. He didn't have to leave. Mm-hmm. That was something that he decided on his own because he was elected and he could have sat out his whole term. And I think that was on my part. In my opinion, I think that was a weak move on his part. The truth of the matter is that, yeah, the party is putting pressure on, but guess what? You don't have to do it because you were righteously elected and you have a term and you could go through and fill out your term.
Okay.
Ain't nobody checking for Todd.
I don't think that lady's gonna win again because her numbers are not very high.
I agree. She's not visible. She's not passionate.
Yeah, that's for her to be the governor of New York. She's very much not visible.
Nondescript, right? Because all of the governors that we've ever had in New York were very big personalities. It's just the New York way.
And she's so soft spoken and she's leaning into the part of femininity that is not appropriate for her job.
Yeah.
She definitely needs to be more direct and more show more strength. But this is what I was going to say before.
But Todd's right. Cuomo was the Democrat sacrificial lamb. He was. And it was wrong. And that just showed that their game was off when they let him go. You see, they lost their plot on that.
This is the part that I think that they will go for on when it comes to Trump. With this case that Letitia James is doing, because the state's Internal Revenue Service, the state is learning how much money in taxes he was not paying. New York, and I'll tell you something, New York, they like their taxes. I think that is the thing that will keep that part of the case moving forward, is because he owes so much in state taxes. All right. Because remember, her case is a civil case. So if she wins it, she's going to win it on the taxes.
Todd is saying if they didn't remove Cuomo, then he would have been on the hook for the nursing home deaths. And if he was on the hook, they would have had to go after Murphy, Wolf, and Whitmer.
No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't have to. Well, I don't understand this irrational thinking. You don't have to do anything. You just don't talk about it and you shut it down and you go about your business. He was not on the hook. One can say American people, as far as I know from like the international press, American people are savages. Like they know y'all don't care about nobody. Y'all don't care about your grandma, your granny, your people in Milan were devastated, like going, oh my God, these are our elders of our matriarchs, our patriarchs. Not in America's like, can we chew them up, maybe cook them, make some dinner? Or let's have a picnic with them. That's what y'all should have been doing. White folks in this country, wow, they really revealed who they were. They don't give a about their elderly or their children. You don't like them. You don't care. So Todd, you're a delusional.
I'll say this about the nursing home, the nursing home piece. Todd, I don't know if you've gotten to see the local New York news versus what was done on the national news. In the local news, which we get here in Connecticut, they didn't have good enough statistics in the beginning of the pandemic. So they weren't really keeping the kind of records that you would think would give the information that people were seeking. And now people are going back and saying, oh, he's responsible for this. He didn't report this. He didn't report that. But guess what? All across the country, no one was collecting the nursing home data because they were just, it was really a matter of this being a airborne virus, right? That people were focusing on, and the tracing of the virus was done in different areas, like different public areas, and no one thought to start looking at the nursing homes until there got to be so many deaths. So they didn't start recording that information until there was this abundance of deaths. What they're talking about when they talk about Cuomo in the nursing homes is they're going back to the very beginning of the pandemic. Well, guess what? No one was tracking that data. So he really wasn't keeping anything from anyone. They only started tracking it when the numbers got to be very high. They started tracking it when there was one nursing home where like 90% of the residents had gotten COVID. But prior to that, they weren't really keeping just specific records about the deaths in nursing homes. They were keeping records of deaths of people being brought to hospitals.
All right. We're going to move on to another conversation topic. So let's go next. Ottawa police moving on protesters. So this is on my side of the border that this is going on. But it seems that American media, all of a sudden, they can't get enough of this, what's going on in Ottawa. So,
Fox.
But you know what? I'm even seeing media outlets like the New York Times have incorrect reporting.
Well, the New York Times, though, has been trashed since they hired Maggie Haberman. So,
right. But what I'm going to say to it looks like things are dissipating now, but it seems that the protesters are now on their way to Quebec City. So this is not going away. It seems that there's like a roaming caravan of protesters. Now, again, there's different like a lot of the number of protesters saying that the police have not been behaving right. Or one report was that the police horse trampled over a lady. Reporters are saying, no, that's not true. So the misinformation wars are going on. What I will say, though, is Canada has changed forever. It has changed forever. And rightly or wrongly, the look that Canada has to the world screen, it'll be very interesting to see what foreigners think about Canada now compared to what they did about 3 or 4 months ago. Now, again, we are right beside the United States of America. Yeah. And there seems a lot of influence and money. And again, as we always say, follow the money. There's a lot. I'm hoping that someone does some really good investigative journalism to find out where all this money is coming from. I was reading to Aisha and Jill a report on Twitter before we went live. There was a reporter who was on the streets, and a guy came up to her and said, "Are you with CTV?" And CTV is one of the national news networks in Canada. She said, "No." And he said, "Well, if you were, I would have tied. You should be stringed up if you're with CTV." Mm-hmm. And then she hided her news pass for the Parliament, which is our national government body. So that is what's going on here with some of these individuals. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens to this and what kind
of all the truckers need to be fired.
What is Justin Trudeau saying about this? Because in the reporting we get on this side, he's the one person I haven't seen.
No, he is saying a lot about this.
He is saying a lot.
He has said a lot about this. What was interesting is that the opposition party, the Conservatives, when when this was first starting in Ottawa, a number of them were there taking pictures with the protesters.
Just take a page out of Reagan's book, like we did with the air controllers. Fire them all.
That's what a number of people saying. You know what? Enough people need jobs.
That. There's plenty of people who will take a job. Fire them all. I mean, that's how I feel. You want to front like that? Get rid of them. Bye. Get AI. They're already going to have that eventually. The job's short-lived. Whatever. Figure out new routes, do new strategies, but fire them. Be done with it.
Well, what's going to happen is that, that America has lifted our mask mandates all over the place. We're so inconsistent. You're going to see the rates rise here, and then it's going to put kind of a damper on their argument about not wearing masks.
Well, the restrictions are in a lot of the provinces being taken off. And I think one of the missteps here is that it's a provincial thing, not a national federal thing.
Right.
But I guess because of the truckers, I think the truckers is a national thing, but a lot of the provincial things, not there. But Christy makes another good point. When it's indigenous protesters, we know what happens.
Exactly. We should have Christy on next week to talk about this, because this is to give us another kind of
lens,
because it's still going to go.
Oh yeah, this is not going away. Like I said,
but I don't believe in. They did arrest that crazy woman, and I hope they take her kid away from her too.
The fact using kids as barriers. Wow,
that was disgusting.
It was horrible.
That was.
They did. That was like Thomas.
So Christy is saying this is a very heated topic to me, and she's saying, Yes. So, Christy, you're going to get your invite for next week, and then we're going to get your lens on this from your perspective. Because, again, as I read in a lot of social media comments, when Indigenous people protest or Black Lives Matter or Black people protest, people want them off.
Yeah.
Yep. And here's the thing for me.
They give these people negotiating room. I'm like, there's no negotiation. Bye.
Yeah. I think that, you know, Americans, look, the right-wing Americans weren't happy enough just ruining our country. They had to plug money into yours.
And you shouldn't let any Americans come to your country for a while.
Really,
you guys
shouldn't.
need to really
because some of them are coming to the protest, and that to me is like so absurd. It's like mind your damn business.
Yeah.
Well, remember what I said a long time ago when the pandemic first started. A number of Canadians, well, not even that. It was a long time ago about the wall in Mexico. A number of people in Canada say we should build a wall across the Canada-U.S. border.
I think you should.
As long as we can't act right, yes.
Yeah.
Christy's saying, again, RCMP stat, a 14-year-old girl in the front line of Oka.
Right?
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, it's outrageous.
And it's no party with music for our land defenders.
I know.
And some of the songs I heard they're playing, Bob Marley, and I'm going, oh boy, I'm going.
You know what? And you know what? These estates, these music estates, aren't paying attention because they need to be on it. We're like, no, you can't. Here's a
bill. Here's an invoice.
Yep, you can't use our music.
Well, you know who they're copying there.
Trump.
Exactly.
And I was really happy with the Prince estate because they were playing they were playing like 1999 at one of the things, and I was really happy with the Prince estate for sending that letter.
Yeah, that dirt bag, you know, like as if he even likes music. He did nothing for the arts community. He can go to hell too.
I'm still mad that
sooner, hopefully, than later.
I'm still mad that the ones who do like YMCA,
the village
people. I'm still mad at the village people for like, yo, he's using Macho Man and YMCA.
Yes,
and you all haven't said a thing.
Yeah. So Real Dango's in a real mood tonight. Real Dango, hopefully you can come on. He says, just let me up there, Dr. V. I think Real Django and Jill need to run from politics together and clean some stuff up. Jill can handle the West. Dango handles the South. Or no, Jill west of the Mississippi.
Todd Hickenlooper trying to, Are you kidding?
Okay, so Christy's saying, you like to know this, ladies. My son is studying Prince music in his music production program at Ryerson University at this moment. And he shocked to learn mom's friend is Jill. I'm telling you, Jill.
That's so funny. Yes, we are friends. And I think it's funny that he's,
Prince and Michael Jackson would be wearing the mask. Are you kidding?
Oh my God. They would have like been in bubble suits. Are you joking? If I could tell you stories of how freaked out Prince was about germs. I mean, and people getting close. I mean, forget it. Yes, he would have been like, this is perfect. Perfect. He would have loved it.
For God's sakes, he had a whole
social distancing.
He had a whole era where he wore a whole bandana thing around his entire face. Are you kidding me? He had plenty of masks that he wore throughout the years. He watched
Christy says they would have embraced masks.
Oh, totally.
Michael Jackson
the privacy of that too. It's like being able to just do. I mean, Michael Jackson had his kids in masks for how long?
True.
I mean, remember? Go listen to New World from 1996. I don't have to. Personally. I knew him. Okay.
There you go. So exactly. I
don't care what was written.
Okay. So
I know people got to sell records and y'all buy it.
And there we go. Real Django, my favorite is Erotic City and Automatic Mostly because Jill is in those videos.
I don't think it was an Erotic City though. Automatic for sure.
But it's funny because just a little silent. It's like one of the great highlights of my life was seeing Prince and him. And one of the concerts I saw was him and Sheila E. opening up with Erotic City. I didn't need to see another song. That was the first time I said I didn't need to see anything else.
That
I
was
remember that
always
they were
such a
playing, and they
sexy
had a
thing.
basketball net on the stage. They were shooting. I said,
Yeah.
I don't need to see anything else. That was the first song. I said, I'm
Yeah, it's
done.
brilliant.
I'm done. I'm done. I'm
Yeah, that was
done.
hot.
All right. So let's move on to our last conversation piece. Last week, a little over just less than a week, Super Bowl halftime show sparks more conversations about the NFL's record on race. So let's talk about the halftime show first. What were your thoughts?
You know what? Here's my thing. I'm mad at the people who were mad about who was performing. I'm like, I didn't watch the Super Bowl. So when I saw the halftime show, I saw a video of it, and I watched the video of it today because we were talking about it.
Yeah.
But what bothered me more than anything was the racism, okay, that came out. It's like, oh, people, you know what? Why not have a halftime show that featured 90s R&B and hip hop? I don't get it. You don't complain when they have country artists. I'm not trying to see those halftime shows, and I don't complain about them. I do get kind of when people talk about, oh, which one was the best halftime show ever? No halftime show ever can be. You know what? Each one has its place.
Mm-hmm.
And it is an opinion to say which one was better than which one. But I have to tell you, the people they get people who can perform, and I honestly like the performance. There was nothing wrong with it to me because it was music that I grew up on in my 20s.
I thought it was okay and all right to it's good. It's good. I know the people are watching it with a number of people said Mary stole the show.
Mm.
A lot of people said that Mary, and a lot of people said, man, what has 50 Cent been eating?
Well,
Like
I think that he might be preparing for a role in a film, because remember he did another role and he lost so much weight he looked like he was like sick.
Yeah. Well, Jill, did you watch any of the performance?
I don't watch the games. I saw some of the performance. It's okay. And the only thing I kind of grasped onto was, I'm not a big fan of 50 Cent, but body shaming him, it just wasn't appropriate. It's like, if he wants, that should be, I don't know why people want women. We're not allowed to do it to women, and then we can do it to men. And I don't like it. I mean, it's like, it wasn't all that really. I have a problem with pre-recorded shows all the time. I don't really care for them. I don't like American football, really.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's just not my cup of tea.
Okay, so
I did see a couple of days later where there was a girl who was a writer, a journalist, and she fell off the stage, and the quarterback here at the parade just turned his nose up and walked away. So
yeah, but
but the
quarterback is now going to be paying for all her medical costs. He
that's
realized
okay.
that he messed
That was
up
because of his girlfriend. But you know what? It just, water seeks its own level. The NFL is disgusting.
Well, see, now let's get to this point
just
of it.
a disgusting
Because right now the
environment
NFL
and all the good people. Yeah.
Well, Brian Flores finally got an assistant coach
job at Pittsburgh.
From the Steelers. Today they announced it, but he is still suing the Giants in Miami.
Oh yeah, because again, the lack of black coaches in the NFL.
I also think there's the other thing to talk about too, and this was something that came up today. I saw it on Cross Connection with Tiffany Cross, was the lack of black journalists, sports journalists in football, because you have a league here that's 60% black, but there are like 1, 2, 3 maybe actual journalists that cover football, when there are like hundreds who are very talented and able to do so. And then you have the one journalist who gets to sit on the sideline, the white lady, going on Megyn Kelly and going on with Tucker
That was
Carlson.
Michelle Tafoya.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
talking
her
about,
and
oh, I'm
Tafoya.
against CRT, and oh, it's so
Right.
bad. My kids shouldn't have to learn. You know, we have to teach kids.
I
we should
sometimes
teach
think
kids
she has
about
that
this.
concussion thing. When somebody hit
CRT.
her, they hit her.
And it's like, and
Oh.
she's
Like
and
they
she's
gave
leaving and
her a
going
concussion
to
out
else.
on the freaking field because she's a big loudmouth
Well,
windbag from New York,
it's
New Jersey. Sorry.
And then say, well, Colin Kaepernick could have been a good quarterback had he had the talent.
Right.
The whole taking a knee thing was really to hide from the talent. Oh, girl, please.
No,
What's
I
crazy?
think
Nobody understands football. I mean, like, here's the funny thing: is the only time there's so many people. Most people don't really, I get they have their fans and whatever, but when you ask people when Super Bowl's coming around, it's just the party and the dinner and the snacks and whatever. And you always ask people, why are you watching? And they're like, because I like the commercials. And I don't even think any of the commercials were supposedly very outstanding this year.
now,
in the ad world, I didn't hear too
it-
much
it-
about them.
It's a little bit off base, but there was an ad by Coinbase where they had the QR code just bouncing around. And it ran for about, was it a 30-second or 60-second commercial? And the thing is, they paid $14 million for that 60-second slot. Now, when people went to their website, it crashed. So many people went to it crashed, and that's what Coinbase.
Greedy Americans! Every greedy American who wants to make $1 million right now.
For these ads.
Are you kidding?
Ridiculous.
You could drop a penny in America, and the whole damn country falls down trying to find it. Everybody's a breadhead here. I never thought I'd see it. It's like money. Oh my God, they'll do anything for it. Anything. There's not one thing they won't do.
Well, I think it is a little ironic.
So no, I don't.
And the funny thing is, of course, if people don't realize, the NFL, they're sort of contracted Jay-Z to head all their entertainment stuff. So again, follow the money.
Well, they don't get paid, so you don't get paid to do the halftime show.
They don't?
No, you don't.
No.
You only get paid, so for me, it's just like, really, in this day and age, you got to be kidding. Yeah, no, you don't get paid.
That's really strange.
You don't.
With all the money that's made from the commercials,
they pay
all
for
and all the advertisers
to come in and do the change out or whatever, but you don't get paid. You're not getting paid at all.
So Real Django is saying the problem too is that our perspective of things as Black people tend to see the lack of color more when they see white people, and then we really have to have the numbers of how many Black journalists are out there. This is true. But yeah, I think it's very ironic that for that day, the NFL and race, it wasn't a topic that day. So it seemed it was very and again, I'm sure it was planned a number of months ago, but the NFL says this, in my opinion, has a difficulty when it comes to people Black people in position, let alone forget the owners. The owners is a whole other story, but just coaches. There are less coaches now than before they brought in something called the Rooney Rule, where it's supposed to at least have more Black coaches being interviewed. Now, think there is another Black coach hired in Houston, and then there's a biracial coach hired in Miami, but still a long way to go.
It's really strange to me how football struggles with this so bad, but
basketball doesn't.
The WNBA are like the WNBA is the most progressive
not
of all of them, because I mean they are still on their campaign.
Because NFL has stone cold racists.
Right.
They're stone cold old family racists. I mean, that's it. NFL, the families, look at them.
You know what they say, as one of my gentlemen I respect in sports calls the NFL, he calls it the shield.
It totally is.
It's the shield.
Yeah.
They and the reason why is they make so much money.
Well, look at this from this perspective. I love the WNBA. When that crazy lady that had been in the Senate from Georgia,
yes,
they worked at getting her out. And one of the people that bought the team is a Black woman who's a former
Yes.
WNBA player. She got people to get money, match money, and buy the team up from under her. And that's one of the things I have to say about that is that they
Okay,
have
so this
a
leads
lot of
to-
coaches who are women of color, and their league is 80%. The same thing with the NBA. They're even more. They're much more progressive in terms of how they are able to show their how unhappy they are with different things, racism and all of that.
well, at
But when you
least
do it in the football, it's like, oh my God, all these white people are so upset. It's like, I look at some of those NBA games and who's in the audience too, and I'm trying to figure out what is the difference.
Right.
I don't understand why is this so different, especially when you consider the fact that even though the NBA has a higher percentage of Black players, the NFL has a majority.
yes.
Totally.
It makes no
Yes.
sense.
But
So
it's the plantation. It's
You
the
know-
place where, and then sadly, most of these guys aren't even going to be able to string a couple sentences as they get older.
Yeah.
It's like sending them to an actual, where like when you get meat, like where you slaughter. To me, the NFL is a slaughterhouse. Basically, it's not. I mean, you make a lot of money, but if you can live long enough to enjoy it and not be, have early onset dementia or concussion related problems, I think it's a very horrible sport. Awful.
Well, let's look at it this way.
And I don't care about tradition either.
The NBA at least has one Black owner, Michael Jordan. Whereas the question will be, will we in our lifetime see a Black majority owner of an NFL team?
No.
No. And I think when you look at the NBA, you see, you're going to keep seeing these numbers increase, and you're going to have a jump from just having, Michael Jordan to having others, because remember, Jay-Z owns part of the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah.
And you have them buying into ownership. So I think that
it's a good point, because as you're saying there too, the commissioner of the NBA, Adam Silver, is much more progressive, because we look at a few years ago when that can't remember the owner's name from Los Angeles Clippers made those racist statements. He gone.
Well, not only that, but look, remember when what's her name? Goatface girl.
Goatface.
Laura Ingraham.
Yes.
Goatface
said
girl.
that LeBron should just shut up and dribble.
Yes.
Guess what? The NBA didn't tell him, not to respond or how to respond. He responded how he responded, because what are they going to do? Fire LeBron?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over Goatface girls' feelings? No.
That it's interesting that the NBA seems to be more of a players' league. They recognize the value of the players to the sport, whereas NFL and Major League Baseball, they're very hardcore owners league, and most of the owners, all the owners are white, and the majority of them are white and male.
Yeah, well, with the NFL, it's kind of like, oh, we can fire you at will. Well, there's always someone else.
And
who's that simpleton?
Remember Jerry Glanville used to coach a Houston Oilers a long time ago. I remember seeing him on NFL films, and they said, "You know what NFL stands for? Not for long."
Right.
Yeah.
But what about that the one who was Walker with the stupid flamboyant son, the one who's a football player running for
Herschel.
Oh my God. What a bonehead.
Yeah.
And his kid is embarrassing.
He's been damaged.
Embarrassing. I mean, the child is a fool.
Yeah, as flamboyant as he is,
a mixed race
I don't
kid like
understand.
that. You have no idea to look at that and just be absolutely horrified, jaw-droppingly horrified.
Yeah,
that would be your child from the product of your interracial relationship.
We're done.
I don't understand him. I really don't. He comes on there and he talks about, Democrats this, Democrats that, and this, and Trump is great. And it's like, little boy, if you don't shut up.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yeah.
Turn out the as old Dandy Don Mary, they say, turn out the lights. This party is over. All
Yes,
right.
definitely.
Well, folks, a very spirited conversation, not only with the ladies, but also in the chat room. There's been stuff going on in the chat room today. There's been stuff going on. We're just going to leave it at that. But as always, I'd like to say thank you for Aisha and Joe for taking time out of their positive, productive schedules to spend with us. Very spirited, high energy. And actually, first things, I had it up. Let's see if I can find it. I wanted to give that comment from YouTube, Jill. So I'm just going to see if I can pull it up real quick, because this seems to be the Jill Jones hour now. It seems like
Oh,
like Ryerson University, someone in the comments.
that was nice, though. I mean, it's nice to see they're teaching it in the schools. It's definitely a music program that people can benefit from. Young people, to see them being curious enough to do it is amazing, because people don't play instruments anymore.
All
They're
right,
not
so
doing it.
I'm going to read this comment. It's from a gentleman named Garfield Harrison 2 days ago. Here's a full read. As a supporter of the movie Purple Rain, and way before that movie hit, I was always wondered about the woman in Prince's video with the blonde hair. I found out that she was Jill Jones. I didn't realize how smart she is. Well, I should have known, because Prince likes smart people around him, at least to a certain extent. Jill Jones is more than a singer. She's insightful and eloquent in conveying her thoughts. Her take on current events is unfathomable.
Oh,
Let's put some respect on her name, Jill Jones. Thank you for doing this podcast. It's really great to hear her thoughts on politics instead of questions on Prince. She is more than that. I mean, Prince played a major role in one portion of her life, and it's not the end all.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's lovely.
It's really great to hear. Someone's got questions on me on. She is. Okay, so Aisha, you got me on replay there.
Yes, sorry.
All right, so I just wanted to hail up Jill and Aisha, because people are big fans of both of you. So thank you so much. So I thought, Jill, you'd like to.
Yes, I'm at Jill D. Jones on Twitter.
Well, hold on. Let me put you up on screen. Come on now. Okay. Come on. I'll give you do it proper. And what I should do, Jill, is I should actually give you the link to that replay so you can reply to that person.
I will, definitely.
So let me just get you on screen. And now do it proper.
I'm at Jill D. Jones on Twitter. And no, if Herschel Walker was a liberal, I still wouldn't say be nice about him. I think he's just a bonehead. I mean, sorry. Anyway, but my whole thing is I've been in a really kind of like aggressive mood tonight. And,
I couldn't tell.
And some days it's like that, because like I said, every day waking up and some of these convictions and just the way things are going, sometimes it wears on you. On your spirit. It just really is like, I'm just so over it.
No problem. Fully understand. Aisha K. Staggers.
You can reach me at Aisha Staggers on Twitter. I don't take BS on Twitter, so
there you go. All right. And myself, you can catch me at my website. The best place is drvibeshow.com. That's the best place you can contact me. And want to say huge thanks to a pile of people tonight that were on. Krista I'll be reaching out to you during the week to confirm that you're going to be on. Todd, Real Django, who else? Cinnamon Canella. There were others that were on. If I don't remember you, it's my head, not my heart. And I'd like to say thank you. And I always say, if you want to catch replays of this epic conversation, you can go to my website, drvibeshow.com. You can also go to the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook and on YouTube. And as always, I close off with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And remember to give yourselves grace. Catch us same time next week, 9 p.m. Eastern time. And also, follow the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook and Twitter. And then you'll get notifications when we are going to be on next. And two last things. Remember to give yourselves grace, and also don't manage your time, manage your energy. Take care.